All right, everybody. So here we go. The MR920. These are going to be the first 20 rounds. Now, originally, my idea was to, I guess, kind of narrate as I was shooting. Unfortunately, there was about 5 or 6 folks there that just couldn't keep, I guess, quiet enough for me to be able to even speak without listening to them talking about all kinds of stupid stuff. So thanks, guys. Thanks for ruining my video. But hey, it's a public range. What are you going to do? So the first 20 rounds of the gun, very good, very smooth shooting. My mistake was to shoot a heavy 1911 before this because it was kind of difficult to compensate for the lack of weight. But as this comes back, you're going to see that the rounds are pretty centered. There's a few low left center, and then obviously some low to the center, and then some to the right. As we go through the more of this shooting, and again, I tried to shorten this up as much as possible. But again, one of the things that I have to say about this gun as a whole is just basically the polymer is rigid but super lightweight, and the gun does not have a lot of recoil. Trigger was fairly good, no issues with that. It just worked the way I thought it would. As the target comes back, you're going to see, again, some center hits, but mostly low, some high, and some in the center. So again, it's just working and learning the gun. One of the things I noticed is I did have to keep my wrist a little bit more neutral in order to get a better sight picture and making sure that front sight was fitting correctly through those rear 2 posts. Again, picking up speed a little bit, and it's kind of funny, you know, obviously as you shoot a little bit faster, you get a little bit more wild. At least I do, because I'm no expert. I'm sure there's plenty of you out there. But overall, the gun was a very good handling handgun. Shot really well. I have to say it shoots great. Nothing really for me to really complain about. There are some hiccups with this gun, but it is not the gun. And when we get to the table, I will talk a little bit more about that so that you guys can see that. But again, as you see this target, it's pretty darn good, and I really like this handgun. All right, guys, welcome back. 1776 or bust. So this is the post review. This gun has officially had 350 rounds put through it. And so far, so good. 350 rounds, 348 went through with no problem. 2 problems with this gun, but I don't think it's the gun. What I think actually happened is these PMags. So to kind of give you an example why I feel that way is it came with 2 magazines, obviously. Unfortunately, these are 10 rounders, but nonetheless, these are the gun magazines that come with this particular firearm. So as I was shooting the gun, both magazines had one problem, and it was really towards the end of the day. So as I was shooting and I racked the slide and I was ready to go, slide was ready to go, I wound up shooting the gun. The gun reciprocated back, or the slide reciprocated back throughout the empty shell. But then as it was going back in, it did not feed completely through. And so I had a slide that was kind of locked right about there with a little bit of a misfeed. So I dropped the mag, pulled the slide, dropped the actual round that was actually live in the chamber, put the magazine back in, and then went to town. No problems after that. That actually only happened 2 times, and I'm fairly certain it has something to do with these magazines, because obviously if you have a Glock, bring a Glock mag. Well, I mean, this thing is trustworthy. It's been through a lot. So I put the Glock magazine in, and voila, no problems. So I really don't think the gun is necessarily the problem. I think these PMags are kind of, well, not too good, to be honest with you. So I am going to invest in some more Glock mags. Not that I don't have enough as it is, but I'm probably going to retire these only for range use, put those aside, and keep the Glock mag. And honestly, I like the Glock mag the way it fits a little bit better, as you know, or as you can see right here. You'll notice that the base plate of the magazine is actually further into the mag well. So just to kind of give you an idea of what I'm talking about, here's the PMag. And you can see it's a little bit bigger of a lip. Some people may like that for some reason. I personally don't. And you can see that it's almost flush with the mag well. So I actually like that quite a bit. So I'm going to go back to using Glock mags, use these only for ranges, and then see what happens over time. I think what's going on with these magazines versus a Glock mag is that if you look at both of them, you'll notice that on the left, this is my Glock magazine, my PMag on the right. You can see that the Glock mag actually has a little bit of steel in here. And I think that's actually making a little bit of the difference. This is only polymer, so I think maybe, and again, I'm not an expert, but I would think what's going on is that the polymer just isn't I guess, lubricated enough or sleek enough for this follower to come up completely, and I think that's what was kind of binding the round in there. Again, I could be 100% wrong, but that would be my hypothesis. And if that's right, great. If it's not, don't care, because I'm not going to be using these too much anymore. Now, overall shooting impression. What do I think about the shooting impression? Well, it's kind of interesting. The polymer on this gun is actually really rigid. You know, now some people have compared this to whatever, a P80 build, but I've heard that those lowers aren't exactly the best quality polymer. And again, I've only heard that. I don't know because I've never used one, but I would tell you that this polymer is actually a lot more rigid than I thought it would be. And interestingly enough, when you get a good grip on this handgun, the polymer feels really lightweight. And it's interesting because when you're shooting it, you think this gun is going to be just flipping all over the place. But honestly, guys, even though the polymer doesn't seem like it weighs a lot in weight, it actually holds and controls really well. Again, you have this little ridge here or this little edge right there for your support thumb, and it does fit there pretty nicely. I had a little bit of slipping off there every once in a while, but nonetheless, you do have a little texturing right there, and it does make a difference. At least for me, I think it did. Now, dealing with the angle of the grip, again, I use the M&P angle here, which is more, I think it's, geez, I can't even remember. I think it's a neutral angle. And I did like it. It actually resembles and feels a little bit like that angle with the M&P. It's not 100%, but it's pretty close. I think next time when I shoot this gun, I'm probably going to take the Glock backstrap. That makes it feel like it's going to point like a Glock a little bit. Because one of the things I did notice with the sights that I did have to adjust it a little bit, so I had to actually kind of straighten out my wrist a little bit more just to drop the front sight in between the post of the rear. But again, that's just me. That might not be you. I did not shoot it with an optic at this time. I figured I just wanted to shoot it with the irons to see what was going on. And honestly, this gun really operated pretty well. I don't really have any major complaints or concerns. Obviously, those two things that happened, I think, are magazine related, not necessarily gun related. Again, you can see the aftermath of 350 rounds. This little piggy got pretty dirty, definitely got dirty. But again, it handled really well. The barrel doesn't seem to be losing a lot of its coating on here. Some people were messaging me telling me that theirs is. So I'll give you kind of a look through it, see if I can get it to, yeah, there we go. So you can see a little bit right here on the hood maybe, but other than that, there's not a heck of a lot of wear on this barrel just yet. Again, I've got to clean it off. It is pretty dirty, but once I clean it, I'll be able to see that more. But so far, it looks pretty good, like it's going to hold up pretty well. Overall, what are my thoughts? Do I think this is a worthy complement or even a worthy replacement to a Glock 19? It's hard to say, you know, because honestly, I've never had any issues with my Glock 19. This one had some weird issues only twice. Again, I don't think it's gun related. I think it is magazine related. But again, I'm going to bring this back out and shoot it some more, just making sure that it's going to run the way I want it to run before I would even think about carrying it. Minimal recoil as best I could say. The trigger has actually improved just through the 350 rounds. On the initial video, I said the take-up was fairly good. I mean, it's a little long, but not too bad. There's just no more movement after you hit the wall, which is nice. But the reset has definitely improved. One of the things I said was as the reset came up, it was almost like you could feel metal or some sort of plasticky grinding feel in the trigger. That is actually gone. You can feel it maybe slightly a little bit, like right about there, but after you move there, it's gone. So I'm only going to speculate that as this gun gets more rounds through it, it's actually going to be even better. So overall, do I think this is absolutely something that's going to replace my 19? Yep, I do. I'll be honest with you. It comes in with a complete package, in my opinion. It is very comfortable to shoot, very easy to handle. Probably could have shot better, but you know, it is what it is. And I shot a 45 all steel 1911 before I shot this. Mistake. Because it did take a little while to adjust to the weight difference alone, which was pretty incredible when you think about it. But overall, I highly recommend it. After shooting it, I recommended it on the initial impression because it seemed like at that point, this gun was going to be a great selling handgun and a great one to own. And I still believe that. After shooting it, I'm very happy with it. Glad I bought it. And it's definitely a keeper. I mean, if you guys like Glocks, this to me is probably something that might be a step up from that. And hopefully it just keeps on performing and no issues after those two. So we'll see. I'm going to be putting about another 350 through this, and we'll see where we're at in 700 rounds. But other than that, it's a great pickup, and I really like it. So leave those comments down below, and we'll see you next time. I hope you guys have a great night. Stay safe, and as always, freedom is never free.